everyone. I'm 10 Tampa Bay meteorologist Colleen Campbell. It's 8 p.m., so you know what that means. It's time Miss Lee Southwick joins me for our streaming show here. Hey, Lee, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. You know, I think things looking okay with Erin with this 8 o'clock advisory, but I don't want to give anything away. We got some new updates, though, to bring everyone out in the Atlantic as well with another system. So I don't want to, get too far ahead of myself. I know we're starting with Erin, but got a lot to bring you all here at the 8 o'clock hour.
Yeah, Erin's holding pretty steady with this latest update. So let's go over the stats. I'm going to bring up this other graphic because I think it's easier for you guys to see at home. We always have the stats in that red bar up at the top, but you can see it on the right side of your screen there. So Erin still has winds at 125 miles per hour, which would make it a higher end Category 3 storm. It's moving west-northwest at 13 miles per hour, pressure at 946. So not much change for those categories. As far as the location, it's currently located about 155 miles east of Grand Turk. And yeah, I'm starting to see a better eye on this thing, Lee. What do you think?
I think you're right. I think we'll start to see it strengthening here. We'll start to see those wind speeds go up. It's getting a little bit better organized looking now, starting to reorganize, which is what we expected. This is not a surprise. You can see that eye starting to form there. And the forecast from the National Hurricane Center does call for it to strengthen as well back into a Category 4 hurricane. So you can see how it's closer to Grand Turk, the Turks and Caicos Islands. Again, I think it was 155, you said 155 miles to the east-northeast of Grand Turk Island. And something else to think about, too, the hurricane force winds extend 50 miles out, but the tropical storm force winds extend outwards of 205 miles away from the center of this storm. So from that eye that's starting to form. And so that's why you have tropical storm warnings in effect for Turks and Caicos and also portions of the Bahamas, the southeastern Bahamas too, because it's such a monster of a storm. As it continues to organize, that wind field will continue to expand. And there you have it, a tropical storm warning in effect there for parts of the Bahamas too, because tropical storm force winds over 200 miles away from the center of this hurricane.
Yeah, Lee, so it looks like Cape Hatteras, they went ahead and issued, and that's in North Carolina. It's not here closer to home, but it's very important because we have been talking about how the European model has been bringing the storm a little bit closer to the coast. But as Lee just mentioned, those tropical storm force winds extend far out from the center. We're talking hundreds of miles out from the center. So Cape Hatteras is now under that mandatory evacuation, due to the expectation of coastal flooding. And that's as they have that evening high tide taking place on Tuesday, August 19th, so just 2 days from now. They're also expecting high surf between 15 to 20 feet plus in that surf zone. So again, those are those great wave heights that we've been talking about. Here's the latest track. Again, you can see the cone has really not shifted that much. The most important part here would be that re-strengthening. We talked about that eye wall replacement cycle earlier if you joined us at 5 p.m. If you didn't join us then, basically Erin has undergone an eye wall replacement cycle, and it's pretty typical. These powerful systems do that, and when that occurs, basically it's shedding its old eye wall and a new eye wall is forming, starting to take shape, and it eventually replaces the old eye wall. Remember, the strongest winds are located around that eye wall. So it will re-strengthen, as it does once it moves through that cycle. We just saw that eye is starting to form once again, and we are expecting this to move into a Category 4 hurricane in the next 12 to 24 hours. Lee, what do you think for that timeline? I think, overnight at least we would see that happen.
Yeah, now that we see maybe that eye wall trying to form again, like you said, the signs are there. So over the past couple of hours, we've been watching it to see if it would strengthen, and it didn't, but visually we weren't seeing that either. Now we're starting to see those signs that I do think, I agree with you. I think overnight we'll see those wind speeds bumped up, and I think we will see this continue to strengthen into a Category 4 hurricane. Again, tomorrow afternoon, likely reaching its peak. You can see the forecast there, 145 miles an hour. So we're still talking, no matter what, Category 3 or Category 4, an extremely dangerous storm. But with it being that big of a storm, relations in the Bahamas, all of those Caribbean islands there, Turks and Caicos, up through the Bahamas, needing to watch this closely, and then again eventually the Outer Banks. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Colleen, about that evacuation. They're putting it into place well ahead, even though it's now, you can see, it's supposed to be dropping down from a Cat 3 to a Cat 2 while offshore. It's still a major hurricane sending all of those waves. Their impacts start Tuesday, just like here in Jacksonville. Our impacts along the first coast start tomorrow because it's such a big storm impacting so much of the Atlantic. But I love these spaghetti models that you pulled up because, again, it shows it is going to take that turn to the north more. It is going to stay offshore, but that doesn't mean that we won't feel impacts along the beaches and when it comes to dangerous surf conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we always tell you guys that, you know, it's hard to kind of, you know, drift your focus from the cone, right? You see the cone and you're like, okay, that area, but the impacts are felt way outside of the cone. And this is a perfect situation where we talk about that, where those winds as far as coming in from the northeast, right? And then we also have those grand wave heights, which I do want to show you that graphic here. Actually, our chief meteorologist, Bobby Deskins, he grew up in that area and he called this way ahead. Of course, the European model has been bringing the track a little bit closer to the Carolinas, and although the center of the storm will be a couple hundred miles offshore, again, they already have that mandatory evacuation in place for Cape Hatteras because they are expecting that coastal flooding from, you know, they have that high tide that's taking place, and again, that northeast wind, and that's going to push a lot of water. It's really not going to be from rain. It's just those significant wave heights. And Lee, this affects you guys in Jacksonville. Of course, we're not affected by this in Tampa. I hate to say we get any benefit out of it, but Tampa will actually, well, you guys too, will have some drier air wrap in from the system. But unlike us, you guys do have to deal with these wave heights as well as that rip current risk as well.
Hey, take the benefit. We like anytime we can talk about something positive out of a hurricane. So happy for you, happy for us with the sunshine. But something that kind of concerns us is it will be sunny at times, and especially when it comes to visitors and vacationers here who might not be paying attention to this, they think it's perfect beach weather. Hopefully, wave heights of 7 to 10 feet let them know don't go in there and swim, but you never know. And so, again, it will look like good beach weather with the sun. We're talking building sand castles, getting your tan on, enjoying the sand, and not going in the water for a swim. Because here, for the first coast, our waves will increase. So tomorrow, they're still up there, 3 to 5 feet. And then they go up each and every day until on Wednesday. That's when we could have wave heights 9, 10-foot breakers, massive waves. Also important to remember when these waves crash, not only are they huge as in tall, but they are powerful waves too. And that is going to help lead to the risk of beach erosion here along our beaches too. So Colleen, we've been talking to the lifeguards today. We've had reporters out talking to our lifeguards and the mayors along the beach too. And they're all watching closely for the potential of beach erosion and if they need to close any of the beaches. But again, I'm more concerned about people coming to visit. Hopefully our locals know, don't get in the water. This isn't normal. Those are very scary waves. But I am concerned about visitors coming and saying, I'm just going to go for a swim. It's the end of summer. And it's too dangerous. Like we talked about yesterday, knee deep is too deep. So when it's this powerful of a system with these powerful waves and the rip currents too, the rip currents are going to be so scary and dangerous out there. Yeah, absolutely. I guess we'll go into your weather impact alert that you guys have in place so we can let our viewers know, since we have viewers from both sides of the state that are watching tonight. Our weather impact alert, by the way, was for the heat. It did not have to do with Erin. It never did. We will not feel the effects of Erin. I think we need a break personally. I think we all need a break. I think we're exhausted from last year's hurricane season. I mean, we had 3 back-to-back over here on the Gulf Coast, but I'm getting off track. Lee, let me press this over to you so you can explain your weather impact alert. Okay, so First Coast News viewers, if you want to go swimming, go to the Gulf. Go over to Tampa Bay and go enjoy that beautiful water. We do not want you in the water here. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we do have weather impact alerts in effect. It's not because of rain. It's not because of wind. You know, people hear, oh, this is from Erin. Technically speaking, yes, but it's not the wind from Erin. It's not the rain from Erin, but it's the dangerous surf conditions from Erin. We will have a high risk of rip currents, even into Thursday when it comes to rip currents. A high surf. And if you give me 1 second, I'm going to pull up these wave heights. So on Monday, Southeast Georgia, you'll have wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Northeast Florida, you'll have wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. On Tuesday, Georgia, 3 to 6 feet. Florida, 6 to 8 foot waves. That's Northeast Florida. We're talking on the first coast. 6 to 8. That's crazy. But then it gets higher on Wednesday. So Wednesday, Southeast Georgia, 4 to 7 foot breakers. Northeast Florida, 9 to 10 feet possible. So high surf, but I want to get that out there. When you're looking at a 10-foot wave, it's, you know, it's almost double my height. They're huge waves, and they're so powerful. There's so much power behind them. So that could lead to some beach erosion, and then also minor flooding at times of high tide. So you have this surge of water coming in from the hurricane, the big waves coming in. We already have astronomically high tides with the spring tide too. So our high tides are already higher than normal. Then you get an extra push of water because we have this onshore flow, this wind that's coming onshore. And so that's just going to pile up the water along the beaches, but we're also talking the St. John's, the Intracoastal. So we'll also have to watch out for minor flooding at times of high tide in all those areas, especially in the afternoon and evening high tide cycles on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yes. All very good points to make. So I do want to show this wind graphic. We love this wind graphic because it does give a better idea and a better picture that, yes, although the winds extend very far out from the center of that storm, it depends on your area, right? Again, here in Tampa Bay, we will not be feeling the effects of Erin, but Jacksonville, yes, you have to worry about the coastal flooding as well as those rip currents and those strong waves. And as Lee just said, this is not going to be really a wind event for you guys, but of course we are still looking out for our friends down in the islands where they will be feeling the impacts first. They have just on the borderline of the Bahamas, just on the borderline of tropical storm force winds, and that's why they have that tropical storm warning for portions of the southeastern Bahamas. And as Lee and I were explaining earlier, we could see that extended. Of course, Turks and Caicos, they will see the effects before the Bahamas do as well. Not that much of a time difference, or not that far away from each other. But yeah, you can see 44-mile-per-hour winds. That is definitely tropical storm force winds, and it moves even higher than that at times. We're talking 50, 55-mile-per-hour winds, some stronger gusts absolutely possible. And that's as the main eye, that the center of that storm is a couple, 100 miles away. So that will really be a concern, the wind for those islands. As we move forward into Monday and Tuesday, that's when the winds, again, Erin starts to kind of drift off from the southeast coast, and that's when wind, I don't want to say it doesn't become a concern, but that's not the top concern when you're talking about the danger. As Lee just explained, they are more worried about you guys going out in those rough waves, those that rip current risk. They don't want you out in the water. Here's another way to look at those tropical storm force winds and what we could see in the islands. This is a little bit zoomed out. Maybe I should try zooming in here. Let me enter into this graphic so we could get a better picture. And our graphics, of course, every time we get an update and we're starting these streams right at the update, sometimes we don't have time to update the graphics. So, of course, things move around, and you understand that. But Lee, do you want to just explain this graphic while I make some minor tweaks here?
Yeah, so what you were showing with that other wind graphic too, and this one, remember we just talked about how the National Hurricane Center said that tropical storm force winds extend over 200 miles away from the center of the hurricane, 205 miles away. That's where they're seeing tropical storm force winds. And so this is just another way to show you what the last graphic was showing you how wide that wind field is. And that's why you can feel the tropical storm force winds at the Bahamas. There it's telling you some of those islands might only have a 30% chance, but still I would not be surprised, especially gusts. If you get gusts of 39 miles an hour or stronger. You get this tropical storm force winds. So that's what this is showing you, everyone or every area, I should say, in the purple, which luckily is not over land. That's hurricane force winds. You are 100% going to get tropical storm force winds. But then as you're zooming in there, you can see at the top, each color means a percentage, your likelihood of seeing tropical storm force winds. And for places like Turks and Caicos under that tropical storm force warning, 50%, 40 to 50% chance of seeing those winds. And they have been seeing those winds. And same for areas in the southeastern Bahamas, your risk you're right up there on the line. So you're already seeing some of those tropical storm force wind gusts occasionally, and you could continue to get some tropical storm-like conditions because it's such a massive hurricane with such a big wind field. And don't forget, it's expected to strengthen into a Cat 4 again, so it will continue to grow in size and strength as it swipes north and passes the Bahamas. No direct hit, but still feeling the impacts in the Bahamas.
Yeah, and Lee, I brought this up to the north a little bit because, again, as you were just explaining, that probability of seeing those tropical storm force winds, yes, definitely a higher probability for that in the islands, Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. But as you get closer to, and this is everything Lee just explains, that it's not really a big wind threat for Florida. Now, as you get up closer to the Carolinas, yeah, you start to see that threat again, although it be lower, around 10 to 20%. Their main threat is being those barrier islands like Cape Hatteras, seeing that coastal flooding. They have high tide going on too, especially Tuesday night, and that's why they issued that mandatory evacuation. And I can't say enough, please make sure you heed to those listen to authorities. When they tell you to go, you go. Because listen, we have people that I think Erin, not Erin, last year's storms Milton and Helene was a learning lesson for a lot of folks because, listen, we had people that have lived here all their lives, and they've said, I've never seen a storm like that. My house has never flooded in 35 years. These storms are more powerful. They're stronger than what they ever have been before, and part of that is due to that warming sea surface temperature. These are monstrous storms that form. All right, so let's get off our soapbox with that. And let's just go into our futurecast. This is our in-house model. This is the graph. And this is something we're showing you because, again, this is not going to be a rainfall event for Florida. You're actually probably going to have some drier weather out there as that drier air wraps in on the other side of Erin. So tomorrow, this is tomorrow around 7:30, we have our typical sea breeze-driven showers and storms, especially as you get closer to Tampa Bay. That has nothing to do with Erin. That's just our typical sea breezes that we have, those outflow boundaries that come together, bring us that rain. As we move into about Tuesday, Wednesday, look at that. Lee, virtually no rain, maybe a little bit out by Daytona, but,
we'll take it. We will take the drier air. And again, this is what makes me concerned. People are going to see sunshine. It's going to be a little warmer out there, getting into the middle 90s, getting hot. And so I think people will go to the beach. And our takeaway, go to the pool. Enjoy the pool. We can't completely say it's going to be completely dry, but as you can see here, a lot of that drier air moving in, so less of a concern of lightning overall. And so I think Tuesday and Wednesday going to be perfect pool days when the kids get out of school. Take them to the pool. Just avoid the beach. It's just with the beach erosion happening, you likely won't want to be on the sand anyway. So pool days this week.
Yeah, and this is another way to look at it. So this is the atmospheric moisture, how much moisture we have available or precipitable water. So if you take a column of air in the atmosphere and you squeeze that column as hard as you can, condense it, how much water will you have in the bottom of your bucket, right? Well, when you see all those darker greens on the contour there, and you see the 2-inch mark, more than 2 inches for Tampa come Tuesday, that's when we have a nice amount of moisture in our atmosphere. Of course, that number goes up when you look at the nighttime and the morning, but pay attention to the yellows that start to come in here. You notice it in Jacksonville Tuesday nights, and then moving into Wednesday. I think Wednesday will be our driest day over here in Tampa Bay because, again, we have that drier air wrapping in. This is just another way to look at it. This isn't actual rain you're looking at. It's how much available moisture we have in the atmosphere. and that number starts to go down. So again, although it won't be completely dry, we usually look for the number closer to 2 inches when we're talking tropical downpours. And Wednesday, I think it just won't be a day that you'll see a lot of rain in our area. And even before that, Tuesday evening, Tuesday night, I would say that would be the drier time for you guys as well, Lee.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's when we have our lowest rain chances. You know, even for parts of our coverage area here, we cover southeast Georgia too, and they're going to start to get a little bit of that drier air even tomorrow, and then Jacksonville, northeast Florida on Tuesday, and then for you all in Tampa Bay, really on Wednesday, but still for us here too in Jacksonville and the First Coast, Wednesday as well. So we can all really enjoy Wednesday outside without that concern, as much concern, I should say, for lightning and for that thunderstorm activity. So I hope you all get to make it to the beach. Perfect beach day for you guys over on the Gulf Coast.
Yes, I know. All right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room. We're going to it. You ready?
I'm ready.
Our new, well, it's not new because they did tag it yesterday, but they increased it, the probability to 40%. Your girl's ready for a vacation. Yeah.
Okay. When are you going on your vacation?
I know. I sound like, I'm worrying ahead of time here. But, yeah, so I'll be on vacation. I leave the 23rd and go to the 30th. We're going to speak it into existence now. We're going to be okay. Now the European... Yeah, go ahead, Lee. I'll let you break this down. Let me see if I can get a closer view. I'm going to dive into this and zoom into that tropical.
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah, because I think I was going where you were going because you were saying the European. And yes, I was going to say models, first of all, they really disagree on where this is going to go. So you're going to see some scary models out of this system that have shown landfalls in the Gulf Coast. But I think this evening's model is a bit promising for the Gulf Coast. It's going to go back and forth, windshield wiper effect even with our models. So you're going to see occasionally people post on social media something that looks scary. What we can tell you what's going to happen. There is a tropical wave out near the Cabo Verde Islands, a little bit further south than where Erin was. It's going to move west across the Atlantic, similar to Erin, through midweek. Also similar to Erin, we don't know when it's going to start to make its turn to the north or how far west it will track yet. So after it hits midweek, there are 2 paths it could take. It could cut across the Leeward Islands, it could head more into the Caribbean, and then kind of head towards the Gulf. Or it could take a path that is extremely similar to Erin, curve north, stay out in the Atlantic, and not be anybody's problem. Maybe in the middle, Jacksonville, we can't completely write it off. It could clip some of those Leeward Islands, come up the Bahamas, and get closer to the east coast of Florida. There are so many things that could happen right now because it is so far away. We're talking the week of August 25th. That's when this would be some sort of concern. What you're looking at right here, the European model. That doesn't look scary, right? No big deal. Passing some of the islands, staying way out in the Atlantic, not a concern. So we like the European. We are all cheering for the European. Maybe even Bermuda's cheering for the European to get some more rain out of this. But the GFS model has been a bit scarier. It's been showing it moving more towards the Gulf or being a bigger system, a stronger system. So lots to discover here, lots to unpack. What you're looking at right there, that's Erin. Here comes the second one. This newest model run tonight, scarier for Jacksonville, while the previous runs were scarier for Tampa. So all of that to say, we don't know where it's going, which is completely normal for this time because it is several days away. We're talking, again, the week of August 25th. So really next Sunday, that's when we would be, if we're concerned, we're starting to really prepare here and batten down. So give or take. Again, this is the GFS, really scary, but the European, not scary at all.
Yeah, Lee, I definitely would like to see this be another storm that just rides off the coast. I mean, listen, if we can choose any scenario, of course, we never want a hurricane or a tropical storm. But, hey, if we have to choose a scenario, I would choose the one where it's out over open water. Erin is one that's over open water. It's a massive storm, so yeah, it's still, bringing some impacts to our coastal communities all along the southeast coast. But the GFS, I don't want to talk about the GFS because it might bite me in the butt, but sometimes it likes to be a little silly, like as you mentioned earlier, the earlier runs of the GFS, and this is what you're looking at right now. So backing this up in time, and I apologize because I was trying to get my graphics together there, but that's Erin that you see going up the southeast coast now. I had the Euro zoomed in because I was trying to show how the Euro was bringing Erin closer to the Carolinas. Anywho, moving into the GFS, earlier today, the first run that I saw, well, the last couple of days, had it in the Gulf. Now it has it right on top of the state. So this is why you have to just take this as it is. It's fantasy land. Once we have an area that's tagged by the National Hurricane Center as an area of interest, which we have right now, we generally have, especially when it comes off the coast of Africa, we generally have like a week and a half before we even have to worry about it. So not this Sunday, this coming Sunday, but next Sunday, that's when we, and of course, right, in the prime time, my vacation, so that's supposed to be planned, but yes. And this is the tropical outlook. This is put out by the Climate Prediction Center, so all these organizations work together. But what you're looking at here, those colors of the red and the darker red, salmon and red, would be the probability of seeing a tropical system form in that area, 20% shot in the salmon color, better chance where that area red is for this upcoming week, the 20th to the 26th, or next week I should say, and then the following week, we're talking going into September now, and it's pretty much the same area, and it makes sense because this is what's known as the main development region, where we have all these little seedlings that come off the coast, and they basically produce these one after another. They're like little pinballs that shoot off from the coast of Africa, and that's where we see these tropical systems develop from. Whew. All right.
So I'm going to quickly speak to Jacksonville really fast.
Yes.
This is not something that we are going to be concerned about First Coast. Over the next 3 days, we're concerned about Erin's beach impacts. Then after we're done with that, when we're talking Thursday, we should know a lot more about this system out in the Atlantic. Now, I know it's been scary runs for the Gulf Coast, so I'll let you speak to the Tampa Bay region.
Well, listen, I mean, anybody, when you're looking at these, unfortunately, there's people online, which, I appreciate them having an interest in weather, but it turns from when is this an interest to just trying to gain, monetary funds, right? So some people, unfortunately, prey on those that are vulnerable and scared and just, still not over last year, especially us here on the Gulf Coast. And they say, okay, well, Erin didn't verify the way that I wanted it to, because remember, they were showing early runs of the GFS, which was showing a similar story. And, so now they're showing runs of this model with the GFS, I should say. And yeah, that's our little rant. But just stay with us. We've got you covered. If there's anything you need to know, we're going to tell it to you. All right, Lee, my girl, it's always good talking to you. And, we'll see you throughout the week.